Welcome. My name is Ryan Comer. I am the ICTF-USA Technical Director. This is the first technical video of this channel. If you're tuning into the channel for the first time and missed the introduction video, just keep in mind this channel is designed for any Taekwondo school or martial arts school in general who is switched from what they were doing before to the ICTF and now they're doing the Chang Han system. Or maybe they were doing the Chang Han system before but realized they need some help and they need some extra instruction. And they're going now strictly technical Chang Han, and they need a little bit more directive. So this video is designed, or this channel, excuse me, is designed to meet the needs of those students. I apologize. The environment that I'm in is a little bit dark. I'm working with lighting. Hopefully everyone can see me okay. Hopefully everyone can hear me okay. The computer that I use has a very small microphone on it, but in a couple weeks I should have a digital camera. Quality of video should improve a little bit more. But right now I'm working with what I got. The reason why I decided to do this channel was because my instructor, who is the president of the ICTF-USA, lives in Grand Rapids, Michigan. I live in Alpine, Wyoming. I teach gymnastics in Jackson, Wyoming, which is where I'm at now. And so what we're going to be doing with this channel is we're going to go through the entire testing curriculum from A to B, white belt to black belt, and maybe even so on and so forth. But we're going to start every topic of the testing will be a different video. So for example, today we're going to talk about 5 basic stances. Where there are 6 basic stances total that the first students learn as white belts. 2 of them are very easy. One of them is attention stance. The other one is parade rest or show, relaxed position. And then the other 3 or 4 are a little bit technical. However, one of them has a lot of similarities to another stance in other martial arts, which I'm going to get into, but I'm going to do a whole new video for that. So today we're going to focus on 5 basic stances. We're going to focus on Jun-B or ready position. We're going to focus on Chariot or attention stance. We're going to focus on show or relaxed or parade rest position. We're going to focus on sitting stance, and then we're going to focus on L stance. So here we go. So first thing you need to understand, the parallel stance, the Jun-B stance. Jun-B is the Korean term for ready. Jun-B Seulgi, Korean term for ready stance. You'll see in a lot of other martial arts, everyone is very, very rigid. Everyone's very stiff. They'll come out and boom, this is their Jun-B stance. I don't like that. It's too stiff. Also, my feet are too wide. So to do anything from here, it's hard to get moving. So our parallel ready stance has a measurement. Every one of our stances has a measurement, and we're going to get into that. So I'm going to be giving you the details of each stances. You can find these details also in the Encyclopedia of Taekwondo written by the founder, General Choi Hun-hee, who is no longer with us. He passed away in 2002. However, if you have contacted my instructor, Grandmaster Marcel Bedard, he should have either given you a copy or talked about the encyclopedia. If you do not have a copy, throw that in the comment section with your email address, and I will make sure that one of us sends you a copy of that encyclopedia in digital form. It's a 15-volume encyclopedia, and every technique we discuss is in there. So away we go. So again, parallel stance, Jun-B stance. This is our ready. Okay, the feet are measured at shoulder width apart from the outsides of the feet. So basically, if you're looking at somebody's stance as you're on a test board, the outsides of their feet should measure up with the outside of their shoulders. I have pretty broad shoulders, therefore my Jun-B stance is probably going to be a little bit wider than most. You want the outside, but again, you're here. You want the base to be under the hips, and that's the whole purpose for this. You're literally standing on balance. If you're too wide, you don't have that base. If you're too narrow, you don't have that base. So again, measured from the outside of the feet should match up with the outside of the shoulders. Now, before we go further, are we trying to get perfect with these stances for a white belt? Absolutely not. For a black belt, by the time they get to that level, they should have done these so many times, which they will, that it's a muscle memory for them. You say, like you can see with me, I'll back up a little bit. Hopefully you can still hear me. If I'm at attention and I go into Jun-B, my Jun-B stance is consistent every time. If I come here, boom, attention, straight up. boom, here, boom. And you can see every time I step, it's roughly the outside of my shoulders. Is it perfect? No. Are they slightly off here and there? A little bit. But is it close enough to be recognized as a stance and to keep me on balance? Absolutely it is. So again, I'm not perfect. I'm human. Humans make mistakes. However, we're trying to get close to perfect, right? Okay, we're going to take a break from the June B stance just for a minute. That's pretty easy. So June B, shoulder width, outside, shoulder width of the student's width, okay? Um, Measured from the outsides of the feet or the foot swords. The hands slightly clenched in front of the belt. If I turn sideways, you should see it's about 4 centimeters from my fist to my belt. A great measurement of that is your fist length. So if you put your fist on your belt right here, and you put the hand, rest the hand on top, that's where your hand should be for June B. The other one matches accordingly, about 2.5 centimeters or so apart from each other. Front of the knuckles facing downward. It's not here. I see a lot of people do this. That's wrong. It's here. Okay? It's not stiff. Relaxing the shoulders. Everything starts relaxed. Okay? Moving forward, though, before we get into that stance, in a class setting, you're going to call that student to attention. You'll say, "Chorya," which is Korean for attention. When we do attention, I'm going to pull my pant legs up here. We do not go feet together. Okay, the reason why we don't go feet together, I'm going to step forward so you can see a little bit more. The reason why we do not go feet together is because later on, I think it's about green belt, we learn what we call a closed stance. In Taekwondo, feet completely together, toes touching, that is a closed stance. So our attention stance has to be different. Okay, so it's our heels are together, our hands are slightly clenched, they're not white knuckled, just nice and easy, just close the fist, and then let the hands hang naturally. Okay, you'll see a lot of people from all across the nation and even in other nations, they do their attention stance here sometimes. That's not technically correct, simply because everything should be relaxed. If it doesn't, if you have to tense muscles to hold it, you're not doing it correctly. It should be a relaxed motion. Okay, so our attention stance, we're standing up straight, shoulders back, fist closed, front of the fist right here, facing forward. Heels, as you see on my feet, are together, toes are apart about a 45-degree angle. This is attention, or chariya. From there, if you're going to get into a lengthy discussion with your class, I would suggest having them go to parade rest. In military parade rest, they just do this. It's a relaxing position where they're still attentive, but they're not, la-di-da doing their own thing. They're still focused, okay? Taekwondo was designed for military personnel. It's a paramilitary martial art. So we do attention, parade rest, yes, sir, no, sir, etc. And I'll get into all that in another video. So that's attention, parade rest, June B. Now, going back to the June B stance, the shoulder width thing. The reason I have shoulder width apart, the four or five basic stances that we do all stem from a shoulder width measurement. Okay, whether they're shoulder width or not, that's a great place to start. Because if you know how wide your shoulders are, then it's very easy to determine a shoulder width and a half or 2 shoulder lengths. You with me on that? So going forward now, we're going to talk about the sitting stance. We're going to skip the walking stance. That's going to be a whole new video. Sitting stance, in other systems, they call it a horse stance. In Taekwondo, we call it a sitting stance. Please learn these terms because I cannot tell you how frustrating it is for a technical director to go to a school and hear front stance, horse stance, roundhouse kick, jump spin kick. We have terminology that we need to follow in order to make it synonymous with other schools. Also, if you're following the encyclopedia, none of those terms are in there. So you're only going to add confusion to your students if you don't change the terminology. Okay? I'm not trying to call anybody out, but a lot of the instructors that are in the ICTF come from different backgrounds. I am one of those instructors. I understand that, I'm a 4th degree black belt. I understand that a front stance or a horse stance and a sitting stance are the same. I understand that a turning kick and a round kick are the same. However, someone learning these techniques for the first time, you call it something different, they're going to think of it as something different. So please don't add more confusion to your students. Use the correct terminology. Anyway, moving forward. parallel stance, or also this is the June B stance called a parallel stance. It's parallel ready. We have many June B stances, many ready stances. This is the first one, parallel ready stance, okay? If we're gonna take our feet, this is from the inside of the foot, right? Shoulder width length. Let's take a little hop, maybe longer, right about there. Where this foot ends up is about, as I measure, oh, my bad. Where this foot ends up, that's about a shoulder width and a half, okay? Measured from, if I measure from the outsides of my feet, it's a shoulder width and a half. Are you with me on that? Okay, now, I'm gonna slide over so sorry I'm not centering the camera, but in a sitting stance, we measure a shoulder width and a half. However, all of us that have done martial arts before know that this is too narrow of a sitting stance. It has to be wider than that. So that's why the measurement is similar, but where it measures from is different. A sitting stance is measured from the insides of the feet, 1.5 shoulders. That's actually a little long for me. So if I move this in slightly, because this is where we measured from the outside before, so I'm going to move the outside of the thing right here, okay? That's a little better, okay? So now we're measured from the insides of the feet. We're lining up the outsides of the French fry, but we're inside of the feet. If you want to measure to the outside of the feet, that is absolutely fine, but then you can't call it 1.5 shoulder lengths. You have to call it 2 shoulder lengths, because that's about 2. If I were to move the French fries to the outsides of my feet, that would be about 2 shoulder lengths. Does that make sense? So it's either 2 shoulder lengths measured from the outside of the feet, or it's 1.5 shoulder lengths measured from the inside of the feet. The knees bend and turn out, and the hips are under. The shoulders are what we call full facing. I'll show you the side angle. So now I'm facing my mirrors. Here I am. You'll notice that my hips aren't sticking out like this. A lot of students do that. They don't know how to bend their knees and hold. So they're going to pull. So you got to teach them how to pull their hips under so their backs are straight and they have good posture. Okay? This stance is designed for really good stability side to side. So if somebody comes up to you and shoves you from the side, tries to knock you over, step into a sitting stance, you got yourself a good thing. Okay? We're going to leave that there. So like we said, the sitting stance is measured 1.5 from the outsides of the feet. We're going to get into the L stance, okay? L stance is measured from the tip of the big toe, and I'm going to put my finger on the outside of that, okay? And put the inside of the noodle or French fry right there, okay? Now, from inside to inside, that is still a shoulder width and a half. Okay. However, the L stance measures from the outside of the foot of the rear foot to the tip of the big toe on the front leg. It's here. This is our L stance. Okay. Now, you can see there is no length or there is no width measurement. It's a shoulder width and a half long, measured from the tip of the big toe to the foot sword or to the outside of the foot. Okay. There is no width because the heel matches up with the other heel and is in a line. That's why it's called an L stance. If you draw a line from heel to heel or toe to toe and follow it, it makes the letter L. You know, easy, right? L stances are named after the back leg. Right now I have my right leg back. This is a right L stance. Okay. If I were to switch it, this is a left L stance. And you can actually, this is a really good drill for your white belts to do. You can say, okay, give me 10 of these. You're going to start here, and you can also teach them how to turn, tutora, which is the Korean word for turn. You can command them, tutora, and they step. They turn their foot the right way, and they step. Now they're in an L stance, the other way. So you can say, okay, left L stance, tutora, step, step. Right L stance, tutora, step, step. And then that's their drill. Okay, the back knee, you'll see a lot of this. Back knee turned in. Back knee should actually be turned out. Okay. The weight distribution is 70 here and 30% here. You don't want 50-50. you want 70-30 because you need to be able to get that foot off the ground without shifting your weight back. You'll see if I'm 50-50, I have to shift my weight back to get my foot off the ground. Whereas if I have 70-30, there's a lot less shifting happening. Does that make sense? So again, 70% weight, 70% or 30% weight. The shoulder facing, however, right now I'm kind of open to the camera, so it looks like I'm full facing. But if I turn sideways in my L stance right here, or if I turn towards the front, this is my L stance. If my target's right where the camera is, this is my L stance. Okay, it's what we call half facing. This is full facing. This is side facing. Half facing is in between both of those. It's halfway between sideways and full. Okay, so that's where we get that terminology from. Full facing, side facing. L stances are half facing. Okay, sitting stances, I'm just going to go over the outside of my feet because I moved it. Sitting stances, full facing. June B stances, full facing. L stances, half facing. 70-30. Feet, I'm going to show you on the camera, should look something like this. Okay, however, if you want to get into extreme detail for your other students, I'll show you with the noodle because it's easy to see the colors. This is our feet in an L stance. However, if you want to get really, really technical for your advanced students, you could try turning the noodles in a little bit or have them turn their feet in. If they're in an L here, have them turn their feet in slightly, about 15 degrees, and then you're accurate to the encyclopedia for the L stance. However, at beginning stages, I never emphasize turning the feet in simply because it's hard enough for a white belt to keep their feet in that position and have 70% of their weight on one leg and 30% of their leg on the other leg. Plus, there's also a lot of stuff different going on there too. But you're going to see those different stances. So again, parallel stance, shoulder width apart, measured from the foot sword or the outside of the feet. Sitting stance, 1.5 shoulder widths in length, measured from the inside of the feet, or 2 shoulder widths in length, measured from the outside of the feet. Shoulders are full facing, and it's 50-50 weight distribution. L stance here is about 50 or 70% of your weight on the back leg, 30% of your leg weight on the front leg. Shoulders are half facing, and it should feel natural. If you have to force or tense muscles to move one way or the other, then you're not natural, and that's why half facing is more natural here. But a lot of our fighting positions will stem from this stance, so this is a very important stance to learn. That's why we teach it at white belt. That's it for the stances for now. We have one more stance to go over. Keep in mind also, just a reminder, the L stance is named after the back leg. So I am in a right L stance. If I switch, named after the left L stance. Or I'm in a left L stance, named after the back leg. I hope this was helpful. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions. If you need the encyclopedia, hit me with your email address, and I will send it to you. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you on the mat.